Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday.
Something you long believed to be true but realized wasn't.
Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we did.
These are the first things we saw when we pulled up to the beach. Signs in Spanish and English warning people about potentially hazardous conditions. This sign even giving a roadmap for how to escape a rip current.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned off the coast of Costa Rica while saving his 8-year-old daughter. And suddenly, Hollywood remembered him. The same industry that ignored him for years is now calling him a legend. But this wasn't just a freak accident. Warner had quietly rejected degrading roles, refused to play stereotypes, and spoke out against the system. And that came at a cost. Katt Williams warned us, if you don't play their game, they'll erase you. So why did the love show up only after he was gone?
Life, it's fragile, and in the blink of an eye,
you never know.
You never know. So speaking of legacy, what do you hope that your legacy is going to be?
There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person.
I've spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysay.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, best known as Theo from The Cosby Show, drowned on July 20th, 2025, while on vacation in Costa Rica with his family. He was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter when they were both pulled into a powerful rip current at a beach in Limon, a location notorious for its lack of lifeguards and hazardous tides. Nearby surfers managed to rescue his daughter, but by the time help arrived, Malcolm couldn't be revived. His official cause of death was asphyxia by submersion, and the autopsy ruled it an accident. But to those who knew Malcolm, and those who'd followed how Hollywood treated him, this wasn't just another tragic story. It hit different. Here was a man who did everything right, stayed away from scandal, raised his family, spoke with integrity, and still got sidelined. But what happened after his death revealed even more than the accident itself.
Rican Beach, where officials say a dangerous rip current swept away Malcolm-Jamal Warner. The Cosby Show star drowning in secluded paradise on Sunday. What makes that beach so treacherous?
It's similar to other beaches where there are strong rip currents that are deceiving.
Mike Geist helps run a volunteer lifeguard organization here. He says while no lifeguards were on duty that day, Geist's friend, who happens to be a trained lifeguard, was there to surf and discovered Warner unresponsive in the water. Costa Rica's Red Cross says they were able to rescue another man alive who was taken to a clinic in critical condition.
Rica, Jesse, officials say Warner's autopsy is now complete.
It was completed this morning, according to authorities, Tom, and they say that it confirmed that Warner's drowning death was, in fact, an accident.
After The Cosby Show, Malcolm-Jamal Warner could have taken the easy road, big sitcoms, goofy side roles, loud slapstick movies. But he didn't. Instead, he made a deliberate choice to not become a stereotype. He turned down roles that asked him to wear dresses, act clownish, or play the fool, offers that many black actors accepted to keep working. In an industry where selling out is often expected, Warner said no, not because he wasn't marketable, but because he knew what those roles were designed to do. There's a narrative Hollywood pushes, especially for black men, that we're only valuable when we're funny, flashy, or foolish. I wanted something different, he once said in an interview.
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip-hop because it's low-lying fruit, it's so easy, everybody fucking does it, to the point that it's corny. There are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing nigga and bitch
as much
every 2 sentences, because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist
that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
I feel like for the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith.
Malcolm wasn't chasing attention. He was chasing integrity. He didn't just avoid the spotlight. He avoided what the spotlight demanded from people who looked like him. And that decision cost him. Studios called less. Networks labeled him too serious. Roles that could have made him millions went to others who were willing to play along. But Malcolm didn't flinch. He stayed rooted in the belief that black men deserve to be portrayed as layered, complex, and real, not just comic relief or side characters.
So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it, because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. Mm-hmm. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm, and soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of male-female dynamics. And with a girl, all of that starts with the father. Mm. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of my wife.
He even turned down work that would have raised his profile, simply because it didn't align with how he wanted to represent his people. In a 2021 op-ed for the Television Academy, Malcolm wrote, "The gatekeepers of black images in television are still overwhelmingly white. And even when they hand over the mic, the stereotypes don't stop, they just get dressed up in nicer clothes." That wasn't a rant, that was truth. And for speaking it, he got pushed aside. Not for lack of talent, but for refusing to play the game.
Beef, which, they talk about how much they hate each other and give all these references to violence and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think, even though we enjoy those songs and they're bops, do you think that has a detrimental impact upon the culture ultimately?
Ultimately, yes. It's been normalized for, us to call ourselves the N-word, right? And we like to talk about how we've taken the power of that word back. But I'm of the school of thought. If I'm trying to speak love and upliftment to my brother, why am I going to borrow a word from people who use the word because they hate me? But we get caught up in, we're turning the N-word into a positive. But our music is not reflecting positivity, love, and upliftment of our culture. And we're at a point now where so much of our, especially our music, so much of our black music, when you strip away the music and just listen to the lyrics, so much of our black music is really anti-black.
Oh, you think so?
When you think about it, think of, you almost cannot have hip-hop without talking about drugs, using the N-word, and murking somebody.
Right.
Or calling a female, a bitch or a hoe. Like that's become we've normalized that so much that I think we need a space where we can say, wait a minute, that's not all who we are.
But someone else had been calling this out for years. And that's where Katt Williams comes in. Katt Williams has been warning us for years. Long before Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, Katt was speaking out about how Hollywood boxes black entertainers into roles designed to strip them of dignity, and how saying no comes with consequences. In interview after interview, Katt pulled back the curtain on what he called the humiliation ritual, a system that rewards obedience and punishes resistance. And the first sign of that ritual, the dress.
Of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Show me one black actor who wore a dress in Hollywood and didn't blow up, Katt said during an infamous radio appearance. They only lift you up once they know you'll play the character they've written for you. He wasn't joking. From Martin Lawrence in Big Mama's House to Tyler Perry as Medea, and even Kevin Hart, Katt pointed to a clear pattern. You wear the wig, the fat suit, the heels, and the doors open. You refuse, and you're branded as difficult, crazy, or hard to work with. That's not just speculation. That's how Katt himself was treated.
I care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work. Yeah. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not.
That is a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
Despite being one of the most successful stand-up comedians of his generation, he was parodied on SNL 9 times and never once invited to host. At this point, I take it as a badge of honor that they don't F with me. He said, they're not laughing with you. They're telling you how they feel about you.
There has never been a person that has been parodied 9 times on Saturday Night Live and yet never been invited other than me. I, at this point, take it as a badge of honor that they don't fuck with me. A lot of times when people are doing an impression of you, they're really showing you how they feel about you. You know what I mean? So for Saturday Night Live to have an impression of me and have a woman do that means they think I'm a bitch. And I understand that that's what they're saying when they do that. I understand how the game goes, and I understand that if you love me, I know why you do. And if you don't f with me, I understand why.
Sound familiar? It should, because Malcolm-Jamal Warner made the same choices, and the industry gave him the same treatment. He refused to play along, and they slowly erased him, not with scandal, but with silence. But unlike Katt, Malcolm wasn't loud about it. He didn't rant or call anyone out by name. He just quietly built his own path and paid the price. So what exactly was Malcolm doing while Hollywood was ignoring him? Turns out he was building something way more meaningful. While Hollywood moved on without him, Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't disappear. He chose a different path. Instead of chasing fame, he used his voice to reshape how Black people are seen and heard. In his podcast, Not All Hood, Malcolm tackled topics that most actors wouldn't dare touch, from media bias to cultural stereotypes and the internal struggles of the Black community. The Black community is not a monolith. He said, we're not all from the streets, and we're not all trying to fit into the same box. That's what Not All Hood is about, breaking that narrative. He didn't just talk, he lived it. Malcolm was a Grammy-winning musician, an Emmy-nominated actor, a published poet, a director, and a speaker on social justice. He openly criticized modern hip-hop for normalizing violence, misogyny, and self-destruction. In interviews, he said he stopped listening to certain rappers, even ones he respected, because the constant use of the N-word and degrading language had become, in his words, corny and low-hanging fruit. If I'm trying to speak love and upliftment to my brother, why would I borrow a word from people who used it to hate me? He also didn't shy away from the impact of high-profile rap beefs, like Kendrick versus Drake, calling out how the culture only seems to go viral when it's tearing itself apart. Malcolm believed music, media, and art should uplift, not reinforce the worst stereotypes. And when it came to fatherhood, he wasn't playing a role. He was the role model. Devoted, grounded, intentional. No scandals. No kids out of wedlock. No headlines. Just quiet, powerful leadership. Since I pulled her out of my wife, I've known how important my daughter is to me. He once said, she softened me up in all the right ways. That's the legacy I care about. This was a man building real influence, not through clout, but through character. And maybe that's exactly why the industry never embraced him. Because a principled black man who refuses to be controlled, that's not marketable, it's threatening. But that didn't stop them from coming back for his name when it suited them. And that's where the hypocrisy begins. Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't get flowers while he was here. For years, Hollywood had him on mute. No big budget roles, no magazine covers, no primetime tributes. But within hours of his death, all of that changed. Suddenly, celebrities were posting long-winded tributes. News outlets called him a pioneer and a legend. Streaming platforms announced interest in unreleased projects with his name attached. Award shows were planning memorial segments. And yet, where was all of this love when he was alive? He never stopped working. He just wasn't playing their game. He was writing, directing, performing poetry, hosting a podcast, and speaking out against everything that made him unmarketable to them. Truth, accountability, black nuance, and independence. But because he didn't chase viral moments or play the fool, they kept him off the radar. They said nothing until it was safe to speak. Katt Williams called this out years ago. He warned that the industry only honors black artists when it can control their image, especially once they can no longer speak for themselves. And that's exactly what we saw. Malcolm's death didn't change his value. It just made him easier to repackage. They don't uplift you for being real while you're here. They wait until you can't push back, Katt once said. Then they clean you up and cash you out. And now, the very same machine that ignored him is profiting off his legacy. The timing isn't a coincidence. It's the playbook. But this pattern of silence then celebration didn't start with Malcolm, and it sure won't end with him. Katt Williams didn't just call out Hollywood. He exposed its formula. He's talked for years about a disturbing pattern in the industry, something he calls the humiliation ritual. And it always starts the same way. You're a rising black star, and then suddenly you're offered a role in a dress, or a fat suit, or a loud, buffoonish stereotype that makes audiences laugh at you, not with you. It's not just about the dress, Katt explained. It's about proving you'll do what they say. And once you do, they know they own you. Katt didn't comply. Neither did Malcolm. And both paid the price. Malcolm never wore the dress, never leaned into slapstick, never played the idiot. He rejected roles that made black men look like jokes. Instead, he chose dignity. And in return, the industry labeled him too serious, too deep, too black. Not in those words, of course, but the result was the same. The phone stopped ringing, the doors stopped opening. This wasn't paranoia, it was pattern. If you refuse the ritual, Katt once said, they erase you one role at a time. And when you look closely, the industry doesn't hide it. The ones who play along blow up, fast. The ones who resist, labeled unstable, difficult, forgotten, until it's safe to praise them. What happened to Malcolm wasn't a fall-off. It was a freeze-out. And that's the cost of choosing self-respect over submission. But even after being ghosted, Malcolm kept creating. And what he said in his final years proves he knew exactly what was happening. Even as Hollywood kept its distance, Malcolm-Jamal Warner never stopped speaking truth. In his final years, he became more vocal, not louder, but sharper. Through op-eds, interviews, and his podcast, he made it clear he saw the game, and he was done playing it. In a 2021 op-ed for the Television Academy, Malcolm directly addressed the media's control over black representation. White writers, producers, and executives are still the gatekeepers. And even when black creatives are brought in, we're often only allowed input within a tightly controlled box. The stereotypes don't go away, they just get dressed up as progress. He called it illusionary inclusion, a system that rewards surface-level diversity while maintaining control over the deeper narrative. And Malcolm refused to be a part of that illusion. He also took aim at modern hip-hop, not as a bitter elder, but as someone deeply concerned about the message. He criticized the casual use of the N-word, the glorification of violence, and the way rap beefs are packaged as entertainment while doing real harm. If I'm trying to uplift my brother, why would I borrow a word used to destroy him? He asked in one episode of Not All Hood. And when the Kendrick versus Drake feud went viral, Malcolm wasn't impressed. He saw it as another example of how black artistry only gets amplified when it's toxic, aggressive, or divisive. He was consistent, always pushing for a deeper, more human portrayal of Black life. One that wasn't shaped by trauma, stereotypes, or performative rebellion. And the more he spoke up, the quieter the industry got around him. Malcolm didn't die confused about what was happening. He left this world knowing exactly why Hollywood had sidelined him, and why his legacy would only be safe once he could no longer speak for himself. And that's what makes the sudden praise so hard to accept, because when he needed the industry's support the most, it was silent. Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't chase clout, headlines, or applause, and that's exactly why he never got them. Not while he was alive. He chose purpose over performance, dignity over deals, and real impact over red carpets. And for that, Hollywood left him in the shadows. Until he died. Now they call him a legend. Now the tributes roll in. Now his name is safe to celebrate because it can no longer speak back. But this isn't just about Malcolm. It's about every artist who says no and gets punished for it. It's about how industries erase real ones in silence, then resell their legacy once the thread is gone. Katt Williams wasn't guessing. He laid it out step by step, and Malcolm's life and death followed it to the letter. So ask yourself this: was Malcolm honored, or was he harvested? And why does it take death for truth to finally trend? If this made you think twice about the industry, let your voice be heard. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. We're just getting started.